So another day and more Alabama football recruiting news we have got to talk about. And today we're back talking about yet another big time addition on the offensive line. This time, Mal Waldrip, an offensive lineman out the state of Alabama who the Crimson Tide get to keep home. And today we need to break down and talk about why this is so key and why this is an intriguing addition. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Give me a Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited that the Crimson Tide get Waldrip a part of this recruiting class? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And listen, I know it's only June, and I know there is nothing but time and opportunity before National Signing Day comes, and a lot of these recruits put pen to paper. But one thing I think we can at least admit is that Kalen DeBoer and this staff are recruiting a lot better than many people out in the college football sphere had anticipated. One thing I talked about whenever Kalen DeBoer was hired, and I had so many people ask me, how do you think he will recruit? I was very honest. I said, listen, in his first year, he gets a top 10 recruiting class. That's going to be fantastic. Nick Saban was the GOAT. He retired. Alabama made a fantastic hire. I think anybody that knows football will at least give you that they made a phenomenal hire. But this is going to be an interesting season. This is going to be an incredibly fun season. If Kalen DeBoer is able to get a top 10 class with his first season in the SEC, first time recruiting in the South, not just Kalen DeBoer, but a lot of the coaches on this staff, outside of some of the supplementary guys they kept, and Gillespie and Roach, a lot of these guys, they're brand new to the SEC. Some of them have a familiar name, some of them have a familiar presence, but a lot of them are brand new. What they have continued to do on the recruiting trail is hyper impressive. And the other reason why I was sitting there thinking and assuming, hey, if you get a top 10 class, that's very impressive, is that we talk about this a lot. Recruiting is built on relationships. I know everybody wants to talk and ask about NIL, and you are well placed to do so. No doubt about it in today's day and age. But do not sleep on what relationships mean in recruiting. And I'll give you a quick example. Damani Jackson had an interview not too long ago that was fantastic, and whenever he talked about committing to USC, whenever he was a silent commitment to Alabama, Nick Saban said something that to me stuck with me. To me, really highlighted the importance of relationships in college football. Damani Jackson calls Nick Saban while he's a silent commit to Alabama and says, "Coach, I won't be coming to Alabama. I'm going to be flipping my commitment and committing and playing for USC." Coach Saban told him on the phone, all right, we wish you the best, and you always have a place here. To me, that was big. And it must have been big for Damani Jackson because he brought that up and talked about how that was a key moment for him, something that stuck with him. Relationships matter. Relationships need to be at the forefront of every recruiting battle. And the reason why I present you with relationships, the reason why I bring your attention to it, is that a lot of the staffs Alabama is recruiting against, and we're going to talk about the teams that had offered Mal Waldrip as well. I know he may be a 3-star. I know there's going to be comments saying, oh, you're celebrating a 3-star. We celebrate all recruiting wins for any university over here. That's what makes recruiting so cool to me, is that a kid gets an opportunity to try and fulfill his dreams. All recruiting wins should be celebrated. I don't care if it's a 0-star, 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. That's a kid getting able to pursue his dreams. And now there are 5 other kids from his hometown that are now like, wow, there is something big out there. There is some cool possibilities out there for me. So recruiting wins need to be celebrated. Not just for Alabama. For any team out there, that's always been my position. I've taken it on live streams. So that's number 1. But number 2, for a 3-star, he's got some key offers. Some very key offers. So this is going to be interesting to see. But the reason why, calling back to relationships, the reason why I bring that to your attention, when we look at the teams that had offered Mal Waldrip, you're talking about teams that have continuity at the coaching staff, and not just at a few positions, right? I get it. College football, you have coaching turnover. But for the most part, these teams have continuity across the board. Alabama retained 2 on-field coaches, some supplementary guys. A lot of new faces at Alabama, but they are able to cultivate, build, and maintain relationships really well. I mean, they've been there 6 months. And we're seeing them build relationships quickly, and those relationships are really strong. That's impressive to see. And that excites me in terms of what are you going to be able to do in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years? Because we've seen coaches here recently that get to their new universities and are able to build these relationships, much the same way that Kalen DeBoer has been able to build them at Alabama. Those teams maintain top recruiting classes. They maintain them. So I'm excited to see what ends up happening. But let's dive into Mal Waldrip. Mal Waldrip from Central Phoenix City, Alabama, which first and foremost is typically Auburn territory, so that's one of the reasons why this is an interesting win. Stands 6'5", 320 pounds, and as I alluded to, he is a 3-star prospect who's an offensive tackle. But he has got some versatility to his game, and the Alabama coaching staff, as I understand it, likes him as an interior offensive lineman, and that right there is interesting to me. One of the things we talk about is if you have an offensive line coach that knows what they're looking for, it's always a really exciting thing because they're able to piecemeal together an offensive line. And whenever we talk about Kalen DeBoer's blocking schemes, this is going to be a really fun year for this offensive line. Can't wait to see it. But I often thought that it was cool whenever you see a guy who might be a tackle in high school and the staff is like, no, we like you somewhere else. We see something that we think we really want to add in to our recruiting class. Always cool to me. But we talked earlier about the teams that had offered. Let's run through some of the teams, shall we? We have Clemson, Bama, of course. You have Florida, Tennessee, Auburn, Penn State, Georgia, FSU, Miami, Michigan, Kentucky, Missouri, and Ole Miss, just to name some of them. There are others I didn't name, but just to name some of them, you have some heavyweight teams on this list, and Alabama gets the win. So, Alabama continuing to push forward with the top recruiting class. Pretty much, well, anywhere you look right now, Alabama has a top 5 class in all of high school football and college football recruiting. And like I said, it's June. There's a lot of time to go. But what we can say is that for this coaching staff not having been there, not having the long-standing relationships that so many others have, they're doing a really good job on the trail. At the very least, celebrate that. There is a long time to go. It is only June. But for it only being June, this Alabama coaching staff is doing a fantastic job, and I'm really excited to see how this recruiting class ends up. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about this edition, and let me know what you think about the way Kalen DeBoer and company are recruiting thus far. That's it. See ya.